Boom! What's going on, everyone? I'm Logan, the 64th Gear Jammer Skeele, founder of Advantage Diecast, welcoming you to the warehouse on another episode of Toy Talk. In my last video, I talked about the Boeing gas turbine jet engine powered Kenworth truck and West Coast fast freight. I bring this up because Watson Brothers Transportation, the subject of today's Fallen Flag video, was a major partner of West Coast Fast Freight. To go along with this Fallen Flag, I've got a free checklist on the entire DCP by First Gear's Fallen Flag series, and you can grab a copy of it at the link in the description below. You can also purchase many of the Fallen Flags on my website, farmtoysandmore.com. I also talked about, in my Ringsby Freight Systems video, about the ICC and the Interstate Commerce Commission, and how they regulated the routes that trucking companies were allowed to run on back in the day. Well, West Coast Fast Freight wanted to expand their service to Chicago so they could serve their customers better. To do this, West Coast partnered with a company out of Omaha, Nebraska called Watson Brothers Transportation Company Incorporated. Wow, trucking companies really had long names back in the day. Anyway, Watson Brothers is another fallen flag today. But back in the 1940s and 1950s, Watson Brothers was a fairly large carrier running between Denver, Colorado on the west and Chicago, Illinois on the east. This was the ICC's regulated territory for Watson Brothers Transportation. West Coast Fast Freight had the territory from the west coast ending in Denver, Colorado in the east, and that was their assigned territory by the ICC. Do you see a problem with the ICC's route regulations? Now, anyone with freight that was headed to Chicago from Los Angeles was out of luck. West Coast Fast Freight couldn't go to Chicago, and Watson Brothers couldn't pick up in Los Angeles. To get around the ICC, West Coast Fast Freight made a deal with Watson Brothers Transportation. The loads would be transferred in Denver. West Coast would drop off their eastbound load into a Watson Brothers truck and then pick up a westbound load. Now, I bet you're thinking, that doesn't seem very efficient. And you'd be right. But that's the way trucking was due to the ICC's route regulations. A side note on this, rail freight was treated the same way. It was offloaded at the territory boundaries of the different railroads and then loaded onto cars of the next railroad on its way to its final destination. Back in the day, you wouldn't find rail cars from different railroads in the same train like you see today. Back to Watson Brothers Transportation. The company operated over a system of regular routes between Denver, Chicago, Scotts Bluff, Kansas City, and Topeka. Watson Brothers operated 3 regular routes between Chicago, Illinois, and Omaha, Nebraska. They also served intermediate points such as Davenport, Iowa, and Council Bluffs, Nebraska. Daily service was rendered between Des Moines, Iowa, and Chicago, Illinois. This service included a minimum of 2 trips daily in each direction between the 2 cities. Omaha, Nebraska served as the hub of its operations, which makes sense as it was the home office of Watson Brothers Transportation. The terminal in Omaha could accommodate 70 trucks, making it fairly large for its time. Watson Brothers had terminals in 23 other cities. There were 10 other terminals in Nebraska. There were 5 terminals in Iowa, 4 terminals in Missouri, 3 in Kansas, and 1 in Colorado. Watson Brothers Transportation was a growing company in the 1940s. In 1940, freight volume was 5 million pounds carried. By 1944, that volume had increased to 13 million pounds carried. This is pretty impressive, as in 1947, the fleet only had 143 pieces of equipment in it. Watson was still growing and acquiring new equipment to cover the increased pounds carried every year. And in the 1950s, Watson Brothers added some of the famous Mack B model trucks to their fleet, like the one that First Gear made a model of in their Fallen Flag series. And here we go, guys. This is DCP by First Gear's Mack B61 with 40-foot vintage trailer for Watson Brothers Transportation Company. Now this one came out after the merger of DCP and First Gear, as you can see the packaging. However, both the truck and trailer are First Gear toolings. Now, it comes in that same DCP by First Gear box. Not really. This is a smaller box. It's shorter, and it's shorter this way. It's not as long and it's not as it's not as long and it's not as tall as the other boxes, but it's the same design. Now underneath you can see the item number is 60-0570 and that this is part of their Fallen Flag series. To learn the rest of the Fallen Flags, please go on and click the link in the description below so you can grab that report on all of them. And keep checking back because I change that from time to time. It gets updated as they release new pieces. Now this comes in the box. It has the mural in the back this time. And then the back mimics the bigger boxes that they've got. Also, it has a 2-piece blister. No extra mirrors because of the First Gear, when they first took over, didn't put any extra mirrors on anything. But there's no extra mirrors on here. And it is taped. The 2-piece blister is taped together. Sometimes that tape can be a pain, but it can also be a great saver. Now let's go on and pull this apart so we can get this truck out and really look at it. The Fallen Flags is such a great series that DCP did, or that First Gear did, because now we can get modern high detailed trucks with the old vintage trailers. That back. Now let's pick up the trailer. This truck was made with the all First Gear toolings. It has the First Gear 40-foot vintage dry van trailer, which, quite frankly, is a little too short, but that's all right. They've since basically phased this trailer out, and now all they're using is the DCP 40-foot trailer. It's for Watson Brothers Transportation Company. It's got all those required numbers written along down the side. Empty weight of 10,390 with a load capacity of 24,000 pounds. Just think of that load capacity versus today's trucks. Trailer number is 5437, and it's got that arrow pointing forward, showing that this company is moving forward. That'll move your freight. There's a crank here on the landing gear. This upper piece is all die cast. This piece, the bottom piece with the landing gear attached, is all plastic. Now underneath you can see it's got the spare tire carrier with a spare tire and rim. It rides on. It has real rubber tires with a very nice vintage tread pattern, spring suspension, and the little air brake canisters there. It has the steel wheel style landing gear on it, which would theoretically roll the trailer. Don't know how well that would work. I think they'd just sink right in, especially if your asphalt was a little bit hot. And then it's got a date of manufacture right behind the kingpin, which is a little piece of steel wire. The date is 10219, so this was made on the 102nd day of 2019. If we turn it up this way, you can see the Mack style 6-spoke Dayton's, silver rim and silver center cap. Round to the back, you can see a white and red chevron pattern on the back doors, used to promote safety. You may think that promoting safety is just a modern day thing. No, these companies were trying to promote safety way back then too because, well, it's made their insurance cheaper, it made freight hauling cheaper, and it was just plain safer for everybody out on the highways. It's got Watson Brothers logos on both doors and trailer number on both doors. Above the doors, it's got red marker lights. It's got red brake lights down here, and then the bumpers there. That's all just body silver. Doors do not open. Bummer. But oh well. You can also see it's got just plain black mud flaps. Coming around to the passenger side, and much the same as the other, only the numbers start and go the opposite direction, and the arrow is still pointing forward with the Watson Brothers logo. On the silver sides, roof is silver, and guess what? Front is silver with the Watson Brothers logo. Right there. Very common back in the day. Now, it doesn't have screw-down landing gear. It's fixed in that position. It doesn't go up or down. So it's fine when hitched up, but when sitting by itself, it droops a little. Oh well. Now, let's bring the tractor up. This is another all first gear tooling. This, as I said, this set was all first gear. There were no DCP shared tools here. And it looks like this one here might actually have had some bad metal. The frame is actually bending a little bit. That does happen when you get a wrong set of, when something goes wrong with the batch of metal. The metal will bend. It rides on 6-spoke Dayton wheels, front and rear, silver rims, and silver center caps. It's got step-style fuel tanks, battery box there, chrome quarter fenders, chrome mirrors, chrome air horns, chrome exhaust stack, chrome step plate, and chrome grille. Most of the rest of the stuff is in either silver or black tampos. The hood latch is tampoed silver and black, door handle and grab bar in silver. It's got Watson Brothers logo with ICC number on the door. Cab is yellow. The fenders are all black. Frame is orange. Around to the front, individual jewel style headlights in the pods are mounted in there, and the driving lights are tampoed silver. Individual turn signals on each fender, and then a nice silver and a nice black thin bumper. Classic then, real narrow bumpers. Chrome grille with bars. It's so classic Mack. Mack is written right above there, and it's got the bulldog. You can see that bulldog. Ain't he cute? He's tiny, but he's there. He'll be easy to break off. Of everything on these trucks, he'll probably be the easiest thing you break. On the side of the hood, it's the butterfly style. It says Mack Thermodyne. It's got another bulldog drawing, and it's got some trim molding on it. Really sharp. Windows, it has hard plastic windows. They're mimicking two-piece with a black bar in the center. Also has a black gasket around it, and then the windshield wipers are molded into the glass, and then they're tampoed silver. And silver was such a common color for windshield wipers back then. Black is relatively new. Round to the passenger side, and guess what you got? A black air cleaner, black fenders, black fuel tank with a step-style fuel tank, and then a frame reddish orange steps. Then you can see the 6-spoke Daytons with the silver center cap and the silver rims. Chrome quarter fenders. Great big thick muffler. Mack ran a big thick muffler for their trucks. Grill detail for the heat shield is just a decal of black dots. Looks great. Then classic Mack right at the top of the cab. It has a turnout blowing sort of back but out. Really cool. Classic Mack. They just love that. Chrome mirrors right there. Awesome trucks. Round to the back. Black mud flaps. Single brake light right there, which they didn't actually
add any more red to it. They just use the frame color, which isn't quite red, but it's close enough. Then you've got your orange frame, fifth wheel, which is die-cast, and it pivots. It holds any of the DCP or first gear trailers. You can also see the top of the differential detail and drive shaft. And then there's that chrome deck plate. Up on the roof, 5 roof clearance lights that are molded into the cab, and then they're tampoed silver, and then they just use yellow. They just painted it yellow, and then they tampoed the silver to make it look like it's the bullets, so that it has, they just use the body matched yellow for the lenses. That works. And then here you got your 2 bell, 1 short, 1 long air horn over on the driver's side. So classic of that time period and Mack. Flipping underneath, you can see the bottom of the engine detail, transmission detail, going to the first axle, then to the second axle, another drive shaft. Real big, heavy differentials that Mack used, where the axles, where the drive shafts went in above and then they geared down, gave you plenty more speed. These wheels are actually spaced pretty good on for the duals. They're not too wide. Now, mind you, when they put the tires on, they do kind of get a little wonky, so that's easy to fix though. No steering. It's just straight through axle, front spring detail, but no steering. Doesn't bother me one bit. And then there's a black air tank right there. I don't mind no steering. What about you? Let me know in the comments below. Also, grab that free report on the Fallen Flag series so you know which trucks you need to find to complete your set. And here we go. Let's get it all hooked up. What do you think about that? That's first gear's Mack B61 with 40-foot vintage trailer, all die-cast and all first gear toolings, out of the DCP by First Gear Fallen Flag series for Watson Brothers Transportation Company.
Wasn't that model cool? 16% of Watson Brothers' entire traffic volume was over its routes between Chicago, Rock Island, Des Moines, and Omaha. Basically the I-80 corridor, which has grown to be one of the main east-west arteries of freight in the United States. But how would you like to have driven that old B-model Mack back in 1953 before I-80 was built? I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to grab your very own copy of my checklist of the entire DCP by First Gear Fallen Flag series. You'll find it with the link in the description below. This list will let you know which ones you still need to complete your collection. You can also buy many of those Fallen Flag trucks on my website, farmtoysandmore.com. Guys, I release new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So please take a quick moment to tap that subscribe button and ring the bell next to it so that you get notified of all of my future videos. I really and truly appreciate each and every member of my YouTube family way more than I can ever express. Then go on and tap the like button to let YouTube know to send this video out to other great diecast collectors just like you. And finally, go on and tap the share button to share this video on your social media with your friends and family. I'm sure they'd appreciate you thinking of them. I'm Logan, the 64th Gear Jammer Skeele, and I've got to close up Advantage Diecast's Southside Warehouse doors on another episode of Toy Talk.